Uh, it was old Cruz we saw this weekend, right? It was
Vintage Ted
vintage
Cruz.
Ted. This is the Kobe beef of classic Ted Cruz. He wanted to have a vote on defunding Obama's executive actions on immigration, and
Mhm.
essentially held the bill up over the weekend for it. Um, and Democrats realized, and were quick to call attention to that. They said, like, Cruz's objections, which Republicans were grumbling about, give us an opportunity to ripen a lot of these nominations, some of which we probably wouldn't have been able to ripen and progress and confirm before we lose control of the Senate because of Cruz. Uh,
And Cruz and Lee take major issue with that point.
Right.
So I'll
So
just
their
stick in a
their
little
point was that
footnote
these
there.
guys were going
But
to
right,
be
yeah.
right, and so all the time while they were all Saturday while they were debating this, Democrats were gleefully, smiling and going around about this. And I'm going to drop a link to my
Right.
story on that. And
Yeah, please do.
Cruz's people and Lee's people in particular were like, no, these guys were going to get confirmed anyway. Essentially, and there was a lot of discussion about this in the gallery.
Yeah.
Essentially, a lot of these guys were going to get confirmed anyway, but it gave them more time, and you never know. And
Right.
that's sort of like the middle ground here. Uh,
Right, and that's a big question.
right.
Is exactly how much did Cruz and Lee's weekend tactics impact the
We'll
president's
never
nominating
know,
victory?
but like what strikes me as
Right, it's a
the
hypothetical.
bigger, more important point in all of this is that like it really was Cruz bucking the GOP and a lot of
Yeah,
the body
it's
right now.
and it's not just Cruz bucking the GOP to sort of go rogue or go it alone
Yeah.
with Senator Mike Lee. I think it's important for people to remember that this is not just Cruz by himself. Mike Lee is one of his staunchest allies. He's a very conservative Tea Party member from Utah.
Hmm.
And usually anywhere Ted Cruz is, Mike Lee is not far behind. I think they're close friends. They work together on a lot of
Hmm.
things. Mike Lee's a really interesting lawmaker.
Yeah, he
I
is
think
actually.
he is. He's interesting because he's not running for president.
And never has. I mean, there's never
Unlike
been
right,
discussion.
right,
He's
and
never been
clearly shows
quoted.
no interest in running for president. Very interested in lawmaking. Really, really interesting guy. We could do a whole episode on Mike Lee.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think what's interesting about what Cruz did is not only did he take an unusual tack, but he didn't give any other Republican members, as far as we can tell, a public heads up on it.
No,
I talked
it
to
was a
Dean
complete
Heller, who's senator
surprise.
from
I think this
Nevada.
started late
Total
Friday.
surprise, yeah.
Um,
Nobody knew it was coming. Mitch McConnell, the Senate soon-to-be majority leader, left the chamber. Got out of
yeah,
Dodge. Assumed everything was going to be adjourned until Monday, and then Cruz and Lee said, "Oh wait." So when I talked to Heller last night, who's a Nevada senator, what he said was, obviously members have the right to do whatever they want, right? Members have a right to block votes. They have a right to object to unanimous consent to adjourn for the weekend, but the courtesy and the courtesy that's expected in the Senate is that you at least give your colleagues a heads up.
yeah,
That Cruz at least would have said in one of the Senate caucus lunches, which are private lunches that only senators of each party go to, that Cruz at least would have said, "Hey, we're going to do this over the weekend. Cancel your plans. Give your friend your Nutcracker tickets. We're going to be in town." But I think a lot of the frustration and a lot of reason there was just so much acrimony from Republicans directed at Cruz was because he didn't tell anybody. And and it's like, not only is this guy wrecking everybody's weekends, which is his right,
yeah.
which is you're in the Senate. Maybe some of your weekends are going to get wrecked, break out the violins. But he didn't even give them a heads up.
Yeah.
And I understand frustration
So,
on that.
I mean, and I think I want to break the glass on this, Betsy. This is my first,
Okay.
and this is the first time I'm going to say this non-ironically, and I hope you don't scowl, but what does this mean for 2016? It just, Eliana Johnson at National Review had a really good story out where she talked to some operatives in Cruz's circle about, how he's shaping up his campaign. He's got some people
Yeah.
that actually are not, one thing I've been skeptical about with a Cruz presidential run are whether he would have to dip very deeply into the Tea Party, insurrectionist GOP black market of operatives, because you need
Yeah.
good people. And, the people that he seems to have are not B-list people. They're actually pretty good. They're very conservative, and some of them are kind of controversial in their tactics. But these are not, rookies. These are not guys who haven't done campaigns before. But
Right,
it's just
not JV people.
right. But it just sort of strikes me as like a weird, like I'm wondering if he's thinking about this as he does this. Is this going to help him? Is he going to be like? Is he going to craft this into like I made DC listen? I really fought here, and like
Yeah.
Eliana's
I mean, I
story.
feel like Cruz is thinking about 2016 with everything he
Yeah,
does.
I mean,
As are all these guys. As is Hillary, as is Rubio, as is Rand Paul. I'm confident that Cruz and his staff and his advisors made the 2016 calculation before moving ahead on this weekend. I don't know. I don't have any inside information on that, but I'm confident.
I